In late April 2026, the United States assembled one of the most concentrated naval deployments in the Middle East in more than 2 decades. For a brief window, 3 aircraft carrier strike groups operated in the region at the same time: the USS Abraham Lincoln, the USS Gerald R. Ford, and the USS George H.W. Bush. Together, they represented more than 200 aircraft and a combined conventional strike capability that no regional force could realistically match. The real story was not the firepower, it was the geometry. What most coverage missed was what that geometry actually meant. This was not necessarily a pre-strike lineup. It was a trap. Not a trap that fires, a trap that closes. Built entirely from angles, overlapping coverage, and the deliberate compression of Iran's decision space. But this story does not start with aircraft carriers. It starts with 21 miles of water. The Strait of Hormuz is 21 miles wide at its narrowest point. Through it, roughly 20% of the world's petroleum liquids consumption passes every single day. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, that averaged around 20 million barrels daily in 2024. Most of it flows to Asia, especially China, India, Japan, and South Korea. Whoever introduces meaningful risk into those 21 miles introduces risk into the global economy. Iran has understood this for decades. Tehran's deterrence strategy rests on one idea: if Iran is attacked, it can make the strait dangerous. Mines, fast boats, coastal missile batteries, drone swarms. The goal was never to win a conventional war. The goal was to make escalation too costly for Washington to sustain. That playbook worked as a deterrent because it exploited gaps a single carrier group could not close simultaneously. Then the geometry changed. Conceptually, the 3-carrier formation works like this. One carrier group pressures the Gulf side of the theater. Another reinforces the approaches to Hormuz. A third extends coverage toward the Gulf of Oman and the Arabian Sea. Together, those positions generate overlapping reach across the key approach vectors. Iran's asymmetric tactics rely on time. A fast boat swarm only works before a coordinated response arrives. A mine operation only succeeds if the window to complete it exceeds the window to stop it. A missile battery only survives if it can fire and reposition before it gets targeted. 3 carrier groups compress all of those windows at once. Iran's Air Force compounds the problem. The fleet is aging and sanctions-constrained, consisting of F-4 Phantoms, F-5 Tigers, F-14 Tomcats, MiG-29s, Su-24s, and Mirage F-1s per flight global data. Against 3 simultaneous carrier wings operating from separate quadrants, achieving local air superiority stops being a realistic planning assumption. Think about that for a second. Iran's entire deterrence architecture was designed around one primary threat axis at a time. The 3-carrier formation removes that assumption entirely. 1 carrier is a message, 2 carriers is a warning, 3 carriers is a cage. The evidence of what that cage produced was measurable. Reuters reported that strait traffic fell from a normal baseline of roughly 125 to 140 ships per day, down to just 7 in one recorded 24-hour window. 6 tankers carrying Iranian oil were forced back. The Associated Press reported that Iran demanded tolls from some vessels that were not US or Israeli, seeking safe passage. Washington warned companies against compliance. A toll collected under military pressure is not leverage. It signaled that Tehran was searching for whatever it could still apply, because the larger options had become too expensive. That left Iran with 3 choices, each worse than the one before. The first was to absorb the pressure, wait for American political will to fracture. The problem is that slow suffocation is still suffocation. For as long as the formation remained in place, Tehran had no guarantee the pressure would ease without a political outcome. The second was to strike first, hit American naval assets, activate proxies, force an exit. The problem is that a direct Iranian strike hands Washington exactly what it needs: unambiguous justification for the sustained military campaign Iran was trying to make too costly to launch. The third was to weaponize Hormuz directly. Mine the lanes. Target commercial shipping. Make the economic pain fall on everyone. This is Iran's strongest card. But every act of deliberate Hormuz disruption invites more naval enforcement and puts immediate economic pressure on China, India, Japan, and South Korea, the countries whose private diplomatic weight Tehran needs most. If you are finding this useful, hit subscribe. I cover strategic analysis exactly like this every week. Alright, so here is where it gets genuinely complicated. There are 3 ways this ends. The first is slow suffocation. The carrier presence holds long enough that Iran's economic pain exceeds the cost of accommodation, and negotiations restart. Neither side admits to losing. That is the cleanest ending. The second is miscalculation. A proxy fires, a drone gets through, a commander misreads intent, a limited strike follows, and a response follows that. Both sides look for an exit after 48 to 72 hours, not full war, but exactly how full war starts. The third is what analysts call the spring. Tehran decides strangulation is worse than controlled escalation, mines the strait, and activates proxy networks across multiple theaters. At that point, the cage becomes a launch platform. Washington is betting Iran values survival over escalation. Tehran is betting the world cannot tolerate sustained Hormuz disruption long enough for American resolve to outlast Iranian endurance. Both bets can be simultaneously correct. That is what makes the position genuinely unstable. By May 1, 2026, reports said the USS Gerald R had left the Middle East. 2 carriers were reported to remain. 3 carriers triangulate. 2 carriers pressure. 1 carrier signals presence. Iran understands this. Tehran does not measure time in news cycles. Crews grow exhausted. Ships need maintenance. Political attention drifts. What Iran needs is not a military victory. It needs the formation to leave before the economic pressure forces a decision. The trap is not designed to destroy Iran. It is designed to make every move look worse than waiting. The danger is that Tehran may eventually decide waiting is the worst move of all.